How's it going, everybody? This is Darrin with GuitarControl.com bringing you this video lesson, and today I want to show you how to play 3 cool riffs from Kiss. So Kiss was a huge influence on me. It was like the first rock band I got into when I was really little. Honestly, if it wasn't for, I'm sure if it wasn't for Ace Frehley, that I probably never would have picked up the guitar. So be sure to click on the link in the description for the tabs, and let's get close up and take a look. Alright, so the first one we're going to look at is the riff from All Hell's Breaking Loose. So this riff is just made up of single notes. So we start off here, we're on the 3rd fret of the low E string with my first finger. We pick that, so this is the downbeat of 1, and this is an 8th note. And then we're going to go to the A string, and we're going to play it open, and then do a hammer onto the 3rd fret with our first finger, and then hammer to the 5th fret with our 3rd finger, and this is a triplet. So we have, and then from there we go to the 3rd fret of the D string with your first finger, and then back to the 5th fret of the A string with your 3rd finger. So. And then from there, you're going to put your first finger back onto the 3rd fret of the low E, and then I use my pinky here to come up here to the 6th fret of the low E, and so we go 6, 3, 6, 3, 6, and then we're going to go to the 5th fret of the D string with your 3rd finger. So you have to skip over the A string. So that's. So that's the first measure. And then for the second measure, it starts off the same way. So we've got the 3rd fret of the low E, then the A string, open, hammer 3, 5, to the 3rd fret of the D, back to the 5th fret of the A. Then we're going to go on to the D string, 3, 5, and then down to the 1st fret of the low E, back to the D string, 3, 2, and then to the 1st fret of the A, and then back to the 3rd fret of the low E. So the last part of that second measure is pretty tricky to get it down. So just take it slow. The song isn't super fast in the first place. So that second measure. So the whole thing. Alright, so the next one we're going to look at is the opening riff for Firehouse. So this one is made up of dyads, and it's all played on the D and the G string. So we start off here. I'm just going to bar the 2nd fret of the D and the G string with my first finger. So this is made up of 8th notes. So you strum all these chords on the downbeats, but then on the upbeat you rest. So it's like 1 and. And then for beat 2, you're going to take your first finger. You could still just leave it here if you want, just barred, but you're going to put your 3rd finger onto the 4th fret of the D string, and that's on the downbeat of 2. So it's like 1 and 2 and then you're going to take this shape and you're just going to move it up a whole step. So now you're fretting the 4th fret of the G string and the 6th fret of the D string, and then move it back down again. So that's the first measure. And then for the second measure, we start off again the same place, the 2nd fret of the D and the G string. So that's the downbeat of 1. We rest on the and of 1. the downbeat of 2, we do the, so we're on the 4th fret of the D and the 2nd fret of the G. And then we do that on the downbeat of 2, and then on the and of 2 we come back to here. And it's a dotted quarter note. So this is like and 3 and then we rest on the downbeat of 4, and on the and of 4 we're going to take this bar and we're just going to move it all the way up to the 7th fret. So we're barring the 7th fret of the D and the G string. So that's the first 2 measures. Whoops. Now, when we come up here, this is on the and of 4, and then on the downbeat of the next measure, we're going to keep our finger barred, but then we're going to take our 3rd finger and move it to the 9th fret of the D string, and this is on the downbeat of 1. 1, and then on the and of 1, we take it back off, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. On the downbeat of 4, we rest, and then on the and of 4, now we're going to move our 3rd finger from being on the 9th fret of the D to the 9th fret of the G string, and our 1st finger is picking up the 7th fret of the D. And we hit that on the and of 4, and it's tied to the downbeat of 1 of the 4th measure. And 1, and 2, and 3, 4, and then we rest on the and of 4. So. And then finally we're going to look at the riff from God of Thunder. So this one's made up of mostly single notes, and then at the end it has a little, double stop dyad thing. So we start off, we have the low E open twice, so that's 1 and then on the downbeat of 2, we get the 7th fret of the A string, and then on the and of 2, the 7th fret of the low E. So how I like to do this, use my 3rd finger on the A string and then my 2nd finger on the low E. And then from there we go for the downbeat of 3, we go to the 5th fret of the D string with my 1st finger. And then we have this if you notice on your transcription, after that 5, there's another 5 that's lighter, smaller font, and if you look up at the notation, it's a smaller note. It's like a little ghost note. So throw a little vibrato on there, and then on the and of 4, we hit the open low E string again. So that's like the first measure. Then, starting on the 2nd measure, the downbeat of 1 we rest, and on the and of 1 we hit the open low E again. And then the downbeat of 2, we hit the 7th fret of the A again. The and of 2, 7th fret of the low E, and then the 5th fret of the A. So it's kind of like how it was on the first measure, except after that, then we go to the 5th fret of the D string, and that's a quarter note, and that's on the 4th beat with some vibrato. So that's the first 2 measures. Then on the 3rd measure, it starts off is the same as the first one did. And then on that and of 4, we're going to do this little double stop thing, a little dyad. So we're going to take our 1st finger and bar the 5th fret of the D and the G string. And that's tied to the downbeat of the 4th measure. Then from there, we're going to take our 3rd finger on the and of 1, and we're going to bar it on the 7th fret of the A and D string, back to the 5th fret of the D and G, then our 3rd finger will go to the 7th, bar the 7th fret of the D and the G, and then we strum it again and bend and release, back to the 5th fret, back to the 7, and that's the whole thing, and it just repeats. So. All right, so there you have it. 3 cool riffs, not too tough to play, by Kiss. And I'll kind of mix it up a little bit. The first one is off of the album Lick It Up. It was like the first album they did after they took the makeup off, and they kind of really changed their sound. And then, of course, Firehouse and God of Thunder are from the classic era of Kiss, my favorite era. So if you like this lesson, be sure to give me a thumbs up and leave a comment down below if you have any questions about this or other guitar-related topics. If you've not already done so, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the content that we upload throughout the week. Well, that is all I have for you today. Thanks for watching and have a great day.